Okay, now we have to perform the addition of these two numbers in 6-bit, but you guys see the sign is the different right now, okay? Because if you check out the previous video in this playlist, so I have a whole playlist on system hardware, so if you go ahead and check that out, in the previous video I explained you guys the concept of sign magnitude, and I explained how can we perform the addition if we have the same sign, okay, and if we do not have the same sign. So first we determine the sign, the magnitude, and then we did an example where we had the same signs, okay? So if you want to know all this, so check out the previous video, the link is in the description below. Now in this video we are going over an example where the signs are different, okay? So here the sign of A is not equal to sign of B, right? So in this case, so what I showed you guys here, if they are not equals, so then what do? We check the magnitude, okay? We check which one is bigger. So for this you have to convert these numbers into decimal, okay? So you have the first one here, you see this is the sign, okay, and this is the sign. So if you want to determine the sign of the number that you get, so the C, A, because you're doing A plus B, okay? So the sign of C, what is the sign of C? The sign of C, to determine this you have to know the magnitude, okay? So for the magnitude you're just going to ignore these that you see, you're only going to take these magnitude, so 110 and 11, so 110 and you have 11, and now convert these into decimal, okay, because they're in binary, and I guess 11 you already know this is a 3, okay, and this you should know it, but in case you don't know, you can go ahead and simply do convert it like this. So for example, this number is 0, 1 and 2, so you're going to write like numbers over here, like how many numbers do you have, and you start the counting from 0, and then this number that you see, and since this number is in binary, okay, so the base that it is in, it's 2, okay, so the base is 2, okay, so the first number that you see is 0, okay, so you're going to do 0 times 2, the base number that you see, so the base number times the exponent that we put over here, so that's 0, okay, and then plus the next number that you see, 1, times the base number that you see, 2, times the exponent, and then plus the last number, 1, times 2, 2 it's the base number, of course, to the power of 2, the exponent, okay. So if you go ahead and do this, so this is of course 2 to the power of 0, and you're multiplying with the 0, so this is irrelevant, okay, 2, 0 plus 2 plus 4, so this number is equals to 6, okay. So 110 is 6 in decimal. So now once you know that this number represents what number in decimal, so which number is bigger? So 6 is bigger, right? So since 6 is bigger, the sign of C will be the sign of the bigger number, okay. So the sign of C is going to be the sign of this number 110, which is a negative number, so the sign of C will be negative as well, right? So sign is equals to 1. 1 means negative, okay. So this is for the sign. Now for the magnitude, so the magnitude depends on the sign as well, right? Since they have the different signs, so what we're going to do, we're going to subtract the smaller magnitude from the bigger one. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take the bigger number, okay, so the bigger number, and then we're going to subtract it from the smaller number, okay, and then of course we need the answer in 6 bits, so 5 bits go for the magnitude and 1 bit go for the sign, okay. So the sign, we already know this 1, it's gonna go over here, so the 5 bits is for the magnitude, so we already have 3, so we can sign extend it to 5 bits, okay. So now it's 5, and this one as well to 5 bits. So now we can subtract, so 0 and 1. So can you do subtract 0 and like 1 from 0? No. So you have to take a carry. Okay, so just like how you do in elementary school, you had to take a carry. Okay, so this becomes a 0 now, and this is 1. So now this is not 1, this is 1 0. Remember, 1 0 is 2 in binary, so this becomes 2, it's not 1. Okay, and if you're confused, so do not write a 1 over here, okay, because you're just gonna be confused. So right now just go ahead and write it in decimal. Okay, so 2, so you're not confused that it's a 2. Okay, so 2 minus 1, that's a 1. Okay, now 0 and 1 again, so now you're going to take it from here, borrow from here. So now you have again 1 and 0, and 1 and 0, it's what? It's a 2 in binary, right? So you have 2 again, so 2 minus 1, that's a 1, and 0 and 0, so 0 0. So this is your final answer. So 0 0 0 1 1, but with the sign. Okay, so now you're going to put the sign as well. So this is your actual final answer over here. If you go ahead and add these two numbers, and if you want to confirm your answer, so here you see we had 6, so, and this is a negative 6, okay, because there's a 1 in front of it, and this is a positive 6. So if you go ahead and add these two, so you should get negative 3, right? And this number, is this negative 3 or not? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, let's go ahead and do another example. We have these two numbers and we want to add them. So you guys see we have same sign. So what do we do when we have same sign? So the sign of C is equals to what? Since they have same sign, so the sign of C will be 0 as well, right? This is for the sign. And for the magnitude, since they both have same sign, so we can simply add them. We don't need to subtract, right, and take care of the magnitude. So now we have 1 1 0. Okay, and the next number that we have is 0 1 1. 0 1 1. Let's go ahead and add them. So 0 and 1, that's a 1, and 1 and 1, that's a 2, and 2 in binary is 1 0, right? So we write 0 here, 1 over here, 1 and 1, that's a 2 in binary, so that's again 1 0, so we write 0 here but 1 over here. But you see, where do we put this 1 over here? This is the case of an overflow. Okay, so this 1 that you see over here, this is the case of an overflow, because the register can only store 3 bits of data, so, and you cannot have 4 bits. So this is the case of an overflow. So in this case, your final answer that you're going to report is 0 0 1. Okay, so the magnitude is 0 0 1, and along with the sign, so this is going to be your final answer. Okay.